And welcome back, everybody. We're here for the afternoon session of Texas Startup Roadshow as a part of Global Entrepreneurship Week here through Capital Factory. Again, a huge thank you to our awesome partners who made this event possible. Obviously, Global Entrepreneurship Week, an enormous event that's taking place all around the globe. And also to CACI, who is a huge supporter of all of the things that we do here at Capital Factory, as well as Cisco, who is the virtual sponsor of the Texas Startups Roadshow here today. All right, so you're here for our last session of the day, which is the Startup Showcase, and that is going to be presented to you by one of our favorite people here at Capital Factory on the strategic accounts team, our corporate venture associate, Courtney Rial. So Courtney, why don't you join me here on stage? How are you?
Thanks, John. Good to see you. So excited for this last event of the day. Couldn't picture a better one myself. We have a really great lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do here at Capital Factory?
Yeah, great question. So my role at Capital Factory is to get to know the coolest and the brightest and the most up and coming startups here in Texas, and then to help those portfolio companies get connected into what we call our Innovation Council. So these are both defense and corporate partners that Capital Factory works with. Many of those logos you'll know, and we help our portfolio get connected to them for pilots, for programs, for investment, and even some acquisitions down the line. So really excited to help our portfolio companies get to know the best corporate and defense partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And what better way to do that than through our startup showcase? We have these events throughout the year, and doing it as a part of this event is super important for us. And so I think we're all excited to meet those startups and hear from the founders. And so I'll let you take it away and introduce our guests.
Yeah, so we have 5 startups that we'll be showcasing today, all out of Austin, Texas, and our portfolio here. Each startup is going to have 4 minutes to present, to share with you what they're doing and where they're at in the startup journey. And then you guys all can participate in this event by putting your questions in the chat bot, and then we'll be asking the founders those questions after they're done presenting. So make sure you put lots of great questions in the chat. And first, we're going to bring up Joe from Aerial Applications. There you are, t-shirt and all. Joe, are you ready to start pitching?
All right. Well, thanks, Courtney and Sean, for that great introduction. I guess I'll just start by saying I'm very excited to be here, and thank you to the Capital Factory staff for putting this together. It's an absolute pleasure to be involved in things like this. You guys do a ton of great events, and I know it's a lot of hard work putting something like this together, especially during COVID. So thank you for doing that. Aerial Applications is software to make the physical world knowable. We are developing the software that drives machine perception for geospatial intelligence, and our goal is to become the world's leading provider of that geospatial intelligence. Let me go into a little bit of what we mean by that. So at a high level, this means having a wide range of systems and sensors, whether that's drones or satellites or aircraft, that can collect sensor data from the environment and process that through the cloud and deliver a hyper-realistic 3D environment to the physical world. And we do that faster and more efficiently and at higher quality than anybody else. Let's go into a couple real-world examples of that. What you're looking at here is a 3D model that was captured in support of commercial customers that were performing disaster response after Hurricane Michael. So they used our data collection methods, and they help support them in the insurance claim and construction estimate process as part of that overall recovery. So this made them able to assess the damage and impact and respond faster. And we estimate that was about 50% faster as a function of our technology. Okay, same idea, but what you're looking at here is drone data collected outside of San Antonio. This is a swath of forest that we're monitoring as part of a 4-year environmental protection project. And let me kind of go into some of the details of that. So first off, this is just visual imagery that was captured from the drone. And then that next layer down is hyperspectral data sets. And then we're looking at LiDAR and infrared data sets as well. And all of that gets aggregated into this modal view. So what you saw before was our 3D viewing environment that we call Mapware. And now we're taking you into our artificial intelligence workflow building software that we call VAST. And once those data sets are in here, you can then drag and drop and pull down pre-built libraries or assemble your own artificial intelligence processes to derive the information that you're trying to find. So in this example, we're doing object recognition through a series of flows, whether that's ash juniper trees or a blend of different environments, in order to be able to describe the habitat of the endangered golden-cheeked warbler, right? And so we can work through that flow, kind of assemble all these components and take advantage of pre-existing work and prior art to be able to have a simple exportable map layer that can then be shared and highly collaborative and exported onto other systems as part of a standardized collaboration workflow. From there, I also wanted to kind of emphasize this picture here. This is kind of an intermediary step. So the step we had before was a conceptual high level to let you know what it might look like. This is an actual count. So every red dot is the tree being identified and counted as part of our object recognition workflow. Okay, so we've had significant traction to date. We've raised over $4.5 million in private capital and about $7 million in federal contracts. One of those being the StratFi big bets under Dr. Will Roper. And as a function of that, we have 2 out of 5 of the largest customers in the federal space. So just with the Air Force alone, we have the single largest customer with the largest data set in the largest market. And we are very excited to continue that expansion as we scale. So that's the 4-minute version. Thanks for listening. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, great job, Joe. Very interesting. So I'm curious, this is the Texas Startup Roadshow. So we're focused on Texas startups. Do you think that being here in Austin was, a player in you being able to win those large federal contracts? Do you think that's something you would have done or been able to do being in Silicon Valley or maybe on the East Coast?
Yeah, so I think being involved with the Capital Factory has absolutely 100% contributed to our success as a company, especially being co-located with the Army Future Command. That has proved a tremendous asset. So we're very grateful for that. So grateful, in fact, that my daughter actually created a Capital Factory robot. I don't know if you can see that in my background.
We love the robot. That's awesome.
But she was very excited.
We need to commission some of her work. It's beautiful. So where can people find you and find out more about what you're doing coming up in 2021?
Yeah, sure. So I've got, first off, our website, aerialapplications.com. And then you can just email me directly if you have any questions and want to get more involved. So, I know this was a super quick kind of flyover. And I'm more than happy to take meetings with prospective clients or investors to kind of go into more details on the business.
That's awesome. And Aaron's chatting me on the side here that we're getting a lot of love for the robots. So your daughter might be in business with drawing these robots. We did get one question from the group is kind of, what stage in revenue are you guys at? Kind of what's the short-term goal and what revenue are you looking to achieve here in 2021?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to close the books at about 2.5 million, which is up from 700K. And we think we're on track to do about 9 million next year.
It's going to be a good year. Lots of robots, lots of revenue.
Yeah, feels good.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Joe, so much for jumping on. We're always excited to have you, and thank you so much.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Courtney.
So we are going to bring up our next startup. That is going to be Jeff with Apptronix. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. Can you guys see my screen okay?
We can see you. We're waiting on your screen. There it is. And feel free to get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect. Well, that was a great segue into what we're doing here at Apptronix, talking robots. So my name is Jeff Cardenas, and I'm one of the co-founders of Apptronix. Apptronix is a spin-out from the Human-Centered Robotics Lab at the University of Texas. We got started in about 2016, so we've been going for about 4 years now. And the goal of the company was to build robots that can do anything that a human can do, but does all the things that we don't want to do. So in robotics, we call it the 3Ds, the dull, dirty, and dangerous. And we've essentially been bootstrapped up until this point. So we've booked about 10 million in revenue to date. This year we'll do about 3.5 million in revenue, up from about 2 million last year. So have had pretty good, exciting growth. And essentially what we've done is use non-dilutive funding, both public and private, to build out a core robotics platform. A simple way of thinking about it is robots for the age of AI. So we've been advancing both the hardware and the software side of robotic systems, making them more capable, more affordable, and have had some really pretty big breakthroughs along the way. So we got started with NASA doing liquid-cooled humanoids. That led us to get into working for Special Forces and SOCOM, they wanted an Iron Man suit. We didn't quite get to Iron Man, but made a good try at it and have really advanced sort of the state of the art for exoskeletons. And essentially along the way, while we're doing these really difficult systems, we made a breakthrough in a new way to build robotic systems that initially applies really well for robotic arms. And that's really the setup for a go-to-market, and really where you'll see Apptronix going over the next few years is really taking this new arm to market. And so kind of the setup for that is that if you look at robotic arms and industrial robotics, it's really traditionally been confined to the factory floor. So the classic industrial arm was built in the mid-'80s, and there really hasn't been a ton of innovation in terms of robotic arms to date. What we've done is basically add more sensing to these types of arms and made them easier to program, but the fundamentals have really not changed. These arms are really designed to be bolted to the ground and plugged into the wall and stay in the same place and do somewhat repetitive tasks over time. The shift from manufacturing to the warehouse is really largely enabled by adding perception, so putting a camera on the arm, which allows you to pick different types of objects. And at Apptronix, what we're really doing is trying to think about, so what's next? What's next beyond the warehouse? And so we've developed a full stack solution, an arm plus perception-based AI for outdoor environments. And we're really going after field logistics. And so Joe talked about, what an experience it's been to be part of Capital Factory and to be working in the Defense Innovation Center. We've got a great relationship with the Army, and we were recently selected to work on their field artillery autonomous resupply. So working on using automation to fully automate the resupply of artillery for a new system that they have. And our goal is 3 times the current speed of what soldiers can do in brute force. Soldiers today are breaking a lot of the OSHA rules. I think it's 50 pounds that is the max lift for OSHA. And these soldiers are lifting, each one of these rounds weighs about 100 pounds. And so getting soldiers out of those jobs and getting them into different jobs is sort of a key focus for this. And the technology that we're building is designed to really work in extreme environments and work, both the AI and the hardware. And so that's got huge applications all throughout field or mobile logistics and a number of other applications. And so we actually are raising our first round right now, our seed round. And that's really the focus of the round, is how do we take what we're doing and building for the Army and apply that to up the chain throughout the Army. We have a small contract with the Defense Logistics Agency as well, and then across the board to commercial applications as well. And that really just sort of scratches the surface for what we're aiming to do at Apptronix. We want to build some real capital factory robots, some real humanoids. And the idea is, as we get this arm out into the world and start interacting in these use cases, all of that's building a broader system that will allow us to tackle more and more complex opportunities over time as we start to get into larger fleets and different morphologies of robots. And that is what I have. I'm not sure if I'm at my time, but if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. My email is Jeff Cardenas, JEFFCARDENAS @apptronix.com. And we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Great job, Jeff. Thank you so much. So I'm curious, with a technology as diverse as you guys have, you can do many, many use cases with it. How do you guys stay focused? There's only so many hours in the day, so many resources. How do you guys stay mission aligned and not get too distracted?
I mean, you have to start with the customer. So you have to get out there. There's a saying, if your market's everyone, your market's no one. And so you basically have to get out there and talk to customers that are willing to take a risk to sort of, develop something with a new startup. And so certainly the Army has been a huge help to us. It's been a great opportunity and a great experience to work with the Army and Army Applications Lab, and Capital Factory has certainly enabled a lot of those connections for us. And so talking to customers first will keep you focused, and then figure out where you have a customer that is actually willing to, go in and take a risk on you.
That's awesome. I like the way this question is phrased. Who are your competitors and how are you smashing them? What makes you guys unique about what you're doing in your approach?
So the focus for us for how to go to market. So we essentially have built a better robotic arm that's really lightweight and allows you to do mobile tasks. So the way that we've chosen to go to market with that is, what can we do with this arm? Instead of competing head to head against the classic robotic arm companies or the robot as a service companies in the warehouses, what can we do that nobody else can do with this solution? And so that's why the focus is on industrial field logistics. So we've got a number of competitors. We tend to look at folks like Boston Dynamics and Agility Robotics, folks that are doing general purpose, really versatile dynamic robots as our key competitors. But there's a number of folks. This is a very hot space right now, so there's a number of folks from all around.
Yeah, and I love that robots as a service is becoming a whole industry. It's a great term, and we're excited to see all that you guys do. So thank you, Jeff. We appreciate you jumping on today, and great to see, as always, what you guys are up to. So next, we're going to bring up Tim with Renew Robotics.
Well, thank you, Courtney. I'm glad that everybody loves robots, and robots as a service is definitely where we're at. So
hey, we've got a theme today. It's like someone planned this. Tim, we can see your screen. You're on the presentation or presentator mode. So if you want to just go to full screen.
Uh-oh. Okay. I'll have to. Did that pull up full screen for you?
No, it's still on the presenter mode.
Okay, let me swap. Did that work?
Yes, now we can see it. Great. So the stage is yours, Tim.
We are Renew Robotics, the future of vegetation management for the power and utilities industries. There are three massive forces changing our economy today: Internet of Things and big data, a transition to renewable energy, and a shift to electric vehicles with autonomous technology close behind. We have developed an autonomous machine that captures these trends and promotes the expansion of solar power. The problem, solar farms are difficult to mow. They often require special equipment, and they are getting much larger, even more than 10,000 acres. Current mowing machines produce 20,000 pounds of CO2 per year, going against the nature of clean energy. RenewBot is our proprietary electric autonomous tractor. It's 28 inches tall to get under solar panels. It cuts a 63-inch path and is designed for a 10-year service life. The system can be fully charged with a skid of solar panels, making it able to perform easily in remote areas. Our RenewBot is loaded with technology. It has RTK positioning for accuracy within 2 centimeters. It has a 20-watt-hour battery that is able about a third the power of an electric car today. It uses multiple sensors, including LiDAR, as a vision system to determine objects in its path. Wireless data allows the system to be accessed and upgraded at its home location. We are not just a hardware company. Our software, with over 2 million lines of code, makes us a comprehensive fleet management platform for autonomous systems. We monitor all units and can provide continuous reporting on performance and maintenance requirements. Our platform allows us to provide different levels of access to asset owners, maintenance technicians, and operators using phones, tablets, and computers. The market opportunity is huge. Landscaping in the US is a $99 billion business. We mow a lot of grass. The total available market in the US is $24 billion. The solar market is about a $300 million opportunity owned by the same asset owners. We quickly move into power plants and power transmission worth $1.5 billion. The next market we'll go after is airports at $1.4 billion. There is nothing in the autonomous market today that compares to RenewBot's technical capabilities for the solar industry. Our competitors are unable to tackle this problem as effectively and efficiently as we have. Small autonomous mowers only cut about 1.5 acres. Remote control mowers must have operators nearby, and our real competition is commercial grade mowers and zero-turn mowers. Our system is fully autonomous and able to maintain up to 200 acres per unit, a large amount of area for full autonomy. We have a highly profitable business model. A typical customer with 80 megawatts would have about 800 acres to maintain. An asset owner today would typically pay around $211,000 per year to maintain that property. Our program would cost $147,000 per year, saving 30% over 5 years with a service model, or $137,000 per year, saving 37% over 5 years with a purchase model. Our team is a group of experienced leaders with backgrounds that reach NASA, Southwest Research, Illinois Toolworks, and SunPower. We have launched dozens of new products. We have more than 20 years of combined experience in the solar power plant operations management. Our development team has over 20 years of experience in autonomous vehicle engineering. With our experience in the field, Renew Robotics has an end-to-end understanding of vegetation management and how to meet utility solar plants' various needs. By closing the current round, we are on track to hit $500,000 this year, with a potential for over $100 million in a few years. You may ask, how can we reach this level of growth? We already have proposals out for more than 100 units. After initial pilot programs, customers expect to expand use quickly, and the solar industry is growing fast. We have gained sizable traction. We have revenues from our first pilot systems of $250,000 at the end of 2019. We have LOIs with 7 energy companies, indicating $42 million in potential revenues. We have raised $750,000 in previous rounds, and we have an open round currently. We have received $225,000 in grants and vouchers for winning the American-Made Solar Prize. We have proposals submitted for more than 100 machines worth over $40 million. We have pre-sales of Generation 3.0 system of 3 units with additional 2 units committed. Come join us as we power the future of renewable energy.
Great job, Tim. Thank you so much. So one question that we have from the audience is, are you guys planning on using this tech for any other forms of maintenance? How do you guys think about expanding into maybe different product lines or things like that? Or is what your guys is doing now is a big enough pot to go follow?
No, we have a lot of areas we plan to expand this. You can imagine this is a tractor that you can put almost anything on top of. The next unit that we have already put together some concepts for is an inspection system. It'll be able to go out in solar farms and inspect solar panels, look for wildlife and animals and insects, look for loose wires, look for bolts that are loose, things like that. We have a plan for a cleaning system. We'll also have one that does spraying and then inspections as well. security is another one close behind. So there's lots of things we can do way beyond what we're even doing in the solar industry.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of exciting things coming your way. So how did you guys, this is an often a question of really great teams, is how did you guys all find each other? You have a really experienced team with a great background. How did you orchestrate all of that?
Well, thank you. That's a great comment. My background was running R&D for a large company under Illinois Toolworks. I reached out to a friend of mine when I was looking to start a business, and he was in the solar industry, and he brought up this need, and that's my founding partner, Mike Iman. We quickly reached out and looked to connect with people, and luckily I got a hold of several people in the area that had the right type of experience. It took a while, but there was a lot of conversations, and we brought in a good team with the right people to make this happen.
That's awesome. And with the theme of today of the Texas Roadshow, what has it been like as a Texas-based startup to raise capital during this time in the world? What have you found works well, and kind of what are you learning?
Well, that's a great question. So it's been a challenging time to raise capital. We raised some early on, and this was a difficult year just because of COVID. But we're starting to get a lot more traction, a lot more interest, I think, because of kind of the end of elections, as well as some type of vaccine getting ready for COVID. We're starting to see venture capital loosen up a little bit again. So I think things will turn around. It always seems to be easier if you're in California or some other place. But I think Austin is really starting to have the right type of momentum to change that. And we hope to be part of that process as well.
Yes, well, we're very excited to have you, Tim, and thank you for presenting. We are going to we have one more question coming in.
Okay. Awesome.
Other than raising other rounds, do you feel like this is the biggest thing your company needs? I assuming that they're asking if, hey, what's the most important thing you're focused on right now? Is it raising capital, or is there other things, with 2020 that you're feeling pulled in different directions?
It really is raising capital. We have customers lined up, like we talked about there. We have people interested in many units, but we need to grow our team. We need people in place to make that happen. So it's raising capital to make that happen.
That's awesome. And are you guys hiring at the moment? We have a great audience full of ambitious people here in Austin and in Texas. So if people want to apply to join your team, how would they do that?
They would just contact me at tim.mattis@renewbot.com. So my information was on the screen before.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Tim. Great to see you and great to hear how things are going. Next, we are going to bring up Ari from TaxTaker. Hey, Ari.
Hey, Courtney. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing so well. I am sorry to disappoint the audience if they were expecting another incredible robotics company. But I promise to not bore you too much around tax and accounting for the next 4 minutes.
Robots, taxes, we've got it all. Well, Ari, we see your deck. And if you'll just put it in full presentation mode, and then we'll get going.
Absolutely. All right, great. So hi, everyone. Thanks so much for some of your time today. Really excited to be here with all the amazing startups showcasing today. It's a treat. I actually get to work with robotics companies all the time on the tax credit front. And one of the folks that presented today was actually a client. So super fun. But we're TaxTaker, and we're helping startups save money with tax credits and incentives. So it's not a surprise that startups need all the resources that they can get. With the state and the climate of the pandemic, obviously there's been some challenges with fundraising, and companies have never looked for government funding more than they ever have in 2020. And so there are a lot of avenues for non-dilutive funding, as kind of mentioned in some of the earlier showcases. But there's this one thing, it's called the Research and Development Tax Credit, which is actually available to any startup that's developing developing products or technologies. And the really neat thing is it's for the life of their business, so long that they're continuing to improve upon their technology. Something really big happened with legislation a few years back, and now unprofitable or pre-revenue startups can actually take advantage of tax credits. You know, I don't think anyone's here today to get into business to be thinking about their accounting, let alone their tax. But the problem with that is that it means that companies miss out on a lot of money. So because startups are grossly underserved and cash strapped, they're not typically aware of some of the tax advantages and programs out there for them. So the problem with that is that they don't realize they qualify, they leave billions of dollars on the table. And then when they do find someone to help them, they often have to outsource, spend a lot of time on it, and spend a lot of money with a specialist. And it's no small change either. The IRS actually expects, just on this one tax incentive program, to distribute over $150 billion over the next 5 years alone. So here's the solution. Tax Taker is here to help. We simplify R&D savings, resulting in tens of thousands of dollars or more back to our customers' bottom line. So it's really no small change, and something that companies can take each and every year they're spending any money on development. Our product is really easy to use. Essentially, a startup gets in touch with us, gets on a call, or signs up through our website. We pair their financials and their project information. We calculate their credits, and the startup wins and gets government money back to their bottom line. So during year end, it's a really good time to look at, you know, how many more months of runway could you be extending on expenses that you're already incurring. Our business model is really simple. It's zero risk for the startup, totally free to get started. We only make money when our startups win and get credits. And we have successfully processed over 100 claims since the pandemic. Super proud of that stat. The year of our life since joining Capital Factory has been incredible. Not only have we got, you know, more strategic eyes on the business, you know, we tapped into a lot of customers. We are actually expected to end this year with 500% year-over-year growth. We raised a seed round during the pandemic, which we were super proud of. And we've been expanding our team fairly consistently. So one of the biggest things that we need help with, as you can probably imagine, is education, building the megaphone. People hear tax and they think, not my job, right? Like, don't talk to me about tax unless I have to file a tax return. But that means lost money. So year end is, again, a really good time to keep this at kind of the forefront of your attention as you're planning your budget for the next year, planning your expenses out. And so we would love any introductions to any startups, you know, that are incurring development costs. We love VCs and investors as additional channels. Those have been really big proponents for us and really propelling kind of capital efficiency among their portfolio companies. Obviously, other accelerators, and then CPAs and CFOs are great partners for us as well. So with that said, get your billions back, America.
Awesome. Great job, Ari. And it has been so fun to watch you over the last year just grow and build that megaphone here at Capital Factory. And it's really exciting to watch you help the other portfolio companies and startups within Texas be able to get their $1 million back. So question number one I have for you is, what has COVID been like on your business? I assume that there's lots of startups that are trying to figure out how to stay alive and figure out, you know, how to get their dollars back. And so what has that meant for you in terms of business?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously at the beginning, it was kind of scary for everyone. We were kind of hosting therapy hours for some of our clients, but we were actually really, really fortunate and well positioned to help companies. As you can expect, with so many companies looking for extra relief, we were really happy that we were going off of last year's number to be able to provide extra runway for them here in the near term. So we actually saw our growth really pandemic be a catalyst for our growth. It was kind of an unexpected trajectory for us, but we were really happy that we could help in some small way and support these clients.
That's awesome. Well, and I'm also curious, how much are these startups getting back in capital, and what's the typical startup that's able to get money back from this tax break?
Absolutely. So it's probably one of our most fun KPIs because we can actually attribute a real dollar amount to our success for our clients. So our average client is a seed stage company that it receives $43,000 back their first year working with us. But we have clients that get excited about $6,000 all the way up to $300,000 or more. I think our largest one was close to 400 this year. So really any dollar amount, when you're a startup, every dollar counts. And we've already saved $5 million just in this last tax season for our clients. So super stoked on that metric.
That's awesome. Well, someone here in the chat wants to know how to get a hold of you and how to get a hold of their tax break. So
Yes.
know the best way to get a hold of you and your team.
Absolutely. It's super easy. It's just my name, Ari, @taxtaker.com.
Easy as that. Well, my next question for you is, if startups didn't use TaxTaker, how would they figure out what was the process beforehand, before TaxTaker, of how startups figured out how to get this money back, and kind of why did you start TaxTaker? How did you figure out this problem?
Sure. Yeah, it was kind of one of those things that hopefully a CPA had heard about it, or they had worked with some specialist, or maybe they came from a Big Four, so had a little bit of familiarity around it, and was bringing it to their attention. So we even see that there are specialty practitioners across the country, but they often, they can't reach out to every single one of their clients, let alone be able to help every single one of their clients based upon the size of their company and their industry. And so when legislation changed and it made it more meaningful for startups to be able to qualify for this program, I said there had to be a way to kind of eliminate those really hefty billable hours and put a swifter kind of process to this, and hence TaxTaker was born. So we really are kind of shifting this very manual, clunky effort between just really smart experts and paperwork and emails to a swift technology product. And to your question earlier, which I don't think I completely answered, we can help a client with as little as one full-time technical person, an engineer or developer. So we really are able to come in at a company's infancy. And we always say it's better, to have a conversation and see what you might be eligible for, even if you're not yet going to yield something, versus, oh no, why didn't anyone tell me about this? And I've left how much on the table? So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hindsight on tax saving is never helpful. So email Ari and let's get everyone their capital back. So thank you so much, Ari, for being on.
Thank you.
We're going to bring up our last founder from Varuna. Say, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you and see you. And then we'll just bring up your deck in one moment.
I will pull that up.
No worries.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Awesome. The stage is yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mary. Good to meet you all, everyone, virtually. First off, thanks to Capital Factory for the time and opportunity here. My name is Shay Fabade, CEO and co-founder of Varuna. And at Varuna, we bring visibility into water system operations so they can deliver clean water to you and I consistently and efficiently. Most water systems, the US has about 52,000 water systems of varying sizes. Most of the small and medium-sized water systems currently, for the most part, know what's going on within their water treatment plant. They treat the water, they measure the contaminants they use within the plant, but once that water is pumped out into pipes that bring them to you and I, they lose visibility into what's going on. They send a guy in a truck to a sampling station, which is that image you see on the left there. And that is an actual sampling station from one of our customers. There are tens of thousands of these across the US, if not millions, actually. And on the right there, what you see is the logbook. That truck driver records the data he captures from that location into. As you can imagine, what that means is, one, it's an inefficient process. It's not real time. They don't really know what's going on, which is how you end up with water quality problems, along with infrastructure issues, obviously. You end up with water quality problems, and 53 million Americans drank contaminated water last year. 42,000 water systems had a violation of some sort due to these inefficiencies and the lack of visibility into the real-time state of water. And sadly, you probably all remember, we had some fatalities as a result of this in the Houston area just under a month ago here. So what we do at Varuna is simply this. We drop sensors into critical points within their distribution system. We pull the data from those sensors into our intuitive AI-powered dashboards that allow them to, one, know what's going on in real time, alert them into any possible issues they might have with their water quality. And as we gather more data, we're starting to build out predictive models that tell them where they might have a problem. And fundamentally, we're changing the way they run their water systems. We're taking them from physical system insights sporadically to digital monitoring twins that show the performance of the system in real time. This schematic just shows old approach versus Varuna. We increase their efficiencies, improve their operations, and we reduce violations. And it's a big market. As I mentioned, 52,000 water systems, about a $4.5 billion market for the product we currently provide. And we're well on our way to capturing some of that market. We saw traction during COVID. Remote monitoring became a critical issue for a bunch of utilities. And we also signed an MOU with the largest investor-owned utility in Mexico called Roadshow. It's a New York Stock Exchange listed company. And our pipeline is robust as we push into customer acquisition in 2021. With a team of experts in their field, full stack developers, customer success experts, and chemists with who actually work for water utilities and know exactly what we should be looking for in the system. And we're well on our way to pushing towards this future state where Varuna is the operating system, the digital performance system for water utilities across the US and the world, hopefully, preventing contamination in water delivered to over 50 million people. Once again, thanks for the time, and I'd love any questions you have.
Yeah, great job. Thank you for presenting on that. We're super excited about what you're doing at Varuna. I'd love to learn how you got involved in this world. What made you aware of these problems, and what made you want to go tackle them?
Yeah, so I'd spent about 18 years of my career on the power utility side. I used to be an operations engineer for a power plant that served about 500,000 residents in the London area. And power is closely tied to water, but water doesn't get as much attention as power does. So a lot of money gets spent on the power side in terms of innovation. And I believe it was 2 years ago now, we had some water issues in Austin. A few years before that, we'd had Flint. And the more I dug into it, I realized this is a much bigger problem than most people know. And even solutions that are being provided aren't going to the small and medium-sized cities, and hence my desire to solve that problem.
Well, it's an important problem to solve, and we're grateful that you're doing it. I'm curious, kind of, who's your target market? Who is really the right segment for Varuna?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We target cities or towns that have between 5,000 to about 60,000 residents. We go as high as 100,000 in some cases, but we find our product is right sized and right priced for between 5,000 to 60,000. And this is partly because those size cities and towns don't have the resources to send many guys into the field to go sample their water. And they don't have the big budgets like the cities of Austin and DC might have, but they need the product we provide as well.
That's awesome. And then one last thing, COVID's affected everyone. I'm curious, how does it affect the world of water? What have you guys seen as we're kind of all rethinking how we're doing things?
Yeah, it's kind of been a wild thing. So commercial water usage has dropped because we're all working from home, a lot less manufacturing and things of that sort. But residential usage has increased, which means we're needing higher service level quality from the water systems. And now their employees, the technicians can't, many of them are working from home. So remote monitoring has actually become more of an issue that they need, more of a solution to the problems they have so that they know what's going on in real time. And we would normally, before COVID, go deploy the sensors ourselves. COVID actually allowed us to start shipping it to the utilities and they self-install, which has been great for our costs, frankly.
Yeah.
So it's been just accelerating a bunch of things we've been trying to preach to the water systems.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, COVID's definitely been a hard year, but it's interesting to see through all of the startups who have presented today, how it's kind of, forced or moved or helped different startups be able to do things like, hey, we're going to ship this to our end customer and they can install it, and be able to find all these kind of different pulls or value adds that kind of force technology's hand, making us all a little bit better use cases and customers. So thank you again for presenting. Super great to see you. Glad to hear things are going well. And thank you for being here. All right, well, that was our last startup of the day. 5 really interesting entrepreneurs and founders, all based out of here in Austin and all within the Capital Factory ecosystem. So many of them are hiring, many of them are fundraising. So please check out the show notes, get connected with those entrepreneurs, and maybe land yourself a new job and, be a part of one of these missions, like building awesome robots, saving people money on taxes, or saving our water supply, which are all really important. And it's going to be really interesting to see what those companies do here in 2021. So you guys might be wondering in the audience, how could I have a company in Capital Factory? How could I be part of this ecosystem? So Capital Factory, we're both a co-working space, an accelerator, and a fund. So we help startups at all different stages of their business become successful here in Texas and in Austin. So if you're interested in joining our accelerator, we work with late-stage companies like the ones you all just saw in a variety of different industries that are trying to build successful venture-backed businesses here in Texas. So a couple of ways that we help out our portfolio companies as we introduce them to our investor and our investor network, which is about over 1,000 investors here in Texas, and then, of course, on both the coasts. We help them get introduced to talent, meaning the right advisors and mentors and employees that are going to help them drive their mission and be able to be a successful company. And then the third thing we do, which is where I sit in the Capital Factory house, is help them get introduced to their first customers, whether that's corporate or defense. So many of the companies you saw today are what we call dual use, meaning they're getting both money from the government, which is non-dilutive, and capital from venture partners. So really excited. My email is CourtneyReal@capitalfactory.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, and I'd be more than happy to sit down, discuss with you about how Capital Factory could be helpful in your next venture.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Courtney. And thanks to all those amazing startups that we heard from.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, well, that's just about it for today. We have a couple of remarks from our CEO and founder, Josh Baer, coming up here in just a minute. But I want to thank everybody who tuned in today for participating in all of the sessions that we had. And hopefully you got something out of this and you're excited about this week. I know I am. We have a great day of programming coming up tomorrow where we're going to focus on Houston. We're going to hear from folks from the Texas Medical Center. We'll hear from folks at AWS, even NASA. They are all part of the lineup. And we have some even more exciting things happening throughout the week. So we hope that you'll stay tuned and you'll follow us around Texas as we continue the Texas Startups Roadshow. And so with that, I would like to bring back up to the stage to say a few final words, our CEO, Joshua Baer.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you're doing any deals in Texas, I'm interested in co-investing with you. You can email me at josh@quityourjob.com. Thank you to Mayor Adler, Brett Hurt, Miguel Garza, and all of our breakout hosts for joining us today. Cisco and CACI, thank you for sponsoring and making this happen. And thanks to Sean Duffy for being our MC. We'll see you tomorrow in Houston and Thursday in Dallas.